Another day, another lie about Star Wars fans and Star Wars actors being perpetuated by the media. This is Neon, this is Clownfish TV, and this is the sad state of fandom. I'm going to talk about some comments that Mark Hamill made a couple of days ago, made the rounds. Now the media is pouncing and using his words, twisting his words to say things he actually did not say. Basically that Mark Hamill is outright attacking Star Wars fans and calling them toxic. That is not true. That's not actually what he said. Would you quit lying about Mark Hamill? Would you quit lying about Star Wars fans? Just stop it. Stop it. Media, just freaking stop it. We're going to talk about this. Why is toxic Star Wars fandom even still a thing? Why is it still being discussed? Because that's about the only thing that seems to be keeping Star Wars fandom alive at this point, is the media stoking the outrage. You know, little jabs here and there. You know, Harley Quinn clip compares Snyder Cut Dude Bros to toxic Star Wars fans. There was a clip in Harley Quinn where we have a guy in the basement. Of course, he's in the basement with the Last Jedi is not canon shirt. This guy kind of looks like a Chad to me, though. You know, he kind of does. He kind of does. Anyway, we've got little digs like that. We've got CBR, Comic Book Resources, constantly stoking outrage. You know, constantly trying to turn Star Wars into some kind of political activism. Just to, you know, a couple weeks ago, they used May the 4th to be like, hey, everybody, you need to do better with representation in Star Wars. And oh my God, some toxic fans took our hashtag about representation in Star Wars and turned it into a reason to take a dump on the sequel trilogy. God, you need to do better. You need to do better. So what is actually going on here? I think this is what's going on here. Media outlets are laying people off at a shocking rate. I don't know if you've been following the news regarding this, but Vice just laid a whole bunch of people off. Before Vice, it was Condé Nast, BuzzFeed, Quartz, a lot of these new media companies, a lot of these outrage farms are laying off journalists at a shocking rate. Journos are finding themselves unemployed because the ad revenue is drying up. So what's going on? Well, we're going back to the well. We're going to try to roll it back to 2017, 2018, when the hits rolled in, when journalists attacked Star Wars fans. And even if they didn't necessarily believe what they were saying, they did it because, you know, they get paid per view. A lot of these journalists, they get a base pay for the article, and then they get paid an additional bonus based on views. And everybody loves a dumpster fire. So you get these ridiculous articles being written about Star Wars fandom because it brings in clicks, and they get paid, rinse and repeat. Let's write some more articles shitting on Star Wars fans. Now, we noticed something was up a couple of weeks ago. We had Forbes. Again, it's a slow news week, month, year because of the shutdown, but we had Forbes going back to the well and trying to reignite the Last Jedi drama. Most people have moved on. Most people don't give a shit. But now Mark Hamill gives an interview. It made the rounds a couple of days ago, and they kept using it as a way to weaponize Mark Hamill. You know, Luke Skywalker, that sad sack. They destroyed Luke in The Last Jedi. Mark Hamill himself wasn't very happy with it. You know, that they did him dirty. They did Luke dirty, but they're trying to weaponize Luke Skywalker against the fans. And it's really pretty shit. And if you actually read the article, you'll realize what he's saying is not actually the way that the media is portraying it. Esquire picked this up. Now, the original interview, I believe, was with the Daily Beast. If you've ever read the Daily Beast, you know, yeah, it's very clear. But Esquire picked it up. Now, what's funny about this is I think they changed their headline, because the word he actually used was contentious. Basically, that the fandom is not happy. And we're going to talk about his own experience with contentious fans I would actually consider legitimate toxic Star Wars fans. Esquire said with Luke Skywalker behind him, Mark Hamill reflects on contentious Star Wars fans. The actor discussed the rise of toxic fandom in a new interview. Now, if you go to the source, you'll see this is what the title of the article is. Mark Hamill talks toxic Star Wars fans in new interview. They changed it. If you go out to Google, Mark Hamill talks toxic Star Wars fans in new interview. That's what they're using to get those buzzwords in at Google, but they don't want to be, they're Esquire, right? They don't want to be accused of clickbait. So what they do is they bury the actual title of the article in the code, and then this is actually what Google is seeing right here, that Mark Hamill is talking about toxic Star Wars fans. But you go here and they can be like, oh, no, we actually use the word contentious, which is what he used. And it's true. Mark Hamill never used the word toxic. He never used the word toxic Star Wars fan. So let's see what he actually said. He had this lengthy interview with the Daily Beast. He talks about contentious fandom. Not toxic, contentious. Contentious fandom, causing or likely to cause an argument or controversial, involving a heated argument, given to arguing or provoking argument. Okay, and that is actually a legitimate descriptor of Star Wars fandom. There has been a lot of discussion, heated discussion, debate, and argument over the treatment of, in particular, Luke Skywalker in the sequel trilogy. That's not an untrue thing to say. But saying that he said the fandom was toxic is a flat-out lie, and they're doing it for clicks. But let's see what he actually said. He always tried to make the best Star Wars film he could. Now, and you have to read between the lines here. This is what Mark Hamill actually said. I don't know when, over the period of time, fandom became so contentious, i.e. when fandom decided that it was going to argue over everything. And the media stokes a lot of those fires. But people are really opinionated, and you can't help but be opinionated yourself because you've lived with the character for so long, talking about Luke Skywalker. So whether it was on episode 7, 8, or 9, I would have disagreements, and I would say to whoever it was, well, I don't know if that's right, but everyone shares the same goal. You want to make the best movie you can. That actually is a very middle-of-the-road statement. He's like, yeah, the fandom is arguing over Star Wars right now, and I have feelings about it too, but I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. They're trying to make the best movie they can. That's literally all he said. And what the media is doing is they're running with it. Hamill has been synonymous with his galactic counterpart for 40 years now. Of course, he's passionate about the direction of Luke Skywalker just as much as Star Wars fans are even. They would likely have a problem if he didn't give a shit either. Everyone, from the people who made Star Wars to the people who grew up watching the films, feel ownership over the story. So he's right. Whatever the best Star Wars movie looks like, everyone wants it to be the one they see in the theaters. But there's a line when passion turns into harassment, which many Star Wars fans have crossed in recent years. And I bet they bring up Kelly Marie Tran. I bet they do. You have to buy it. You have to buy it to read the whole article, I believe. Yeah, quit lying. Media, quit lying. Like, we know you're running out of money. We know you're running out of fucking money, right? We get it. We get it. But don't go back to this well. Stop it. Stop attacking Star Wars fans. Nobody gives a shit. It's over. Like, Star Wars has successfully been turned into just another science fiction franchise that a lot of people don't give a shit about anymore. Congratulations, Walt Disney Company, for that, but do not put words into Mark Hamill's mouth. Now, you want to talk about legitimate toxic fans, and I do agree that fans do take things too far. We see it in cartoons a lot. In fact, we're getting all kinds of blowback now for our hot takes on She-Ra. You know, before that, we got all kinds of blowback from our opinions on the ending of Adventure Time. You know, we tried to have a discussion, but, you know, it doesn't matter. If you say you don't like something that somebody else likes, it becomes a big debacle, right? But Mark Hamill, who has, you know, said many times that he wasn't real happy with how Luke Skywalker was portrayed, but he did what he could. He tweeted this last year. Hashtag missed opportunities, where they had the whole gang back together in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, something that most Star Wars fans, most old school Star Wars fans would love to see. And they attacked him on Twitter. Twitter called Mark Hamill a boomer. They attacked him. They're like, it's our Star Wars now, Mark Hamill. What do you know about Star Wars, Luke Skywalker? That's boomer Star Wars. This is the now. Again, Mark Hamill has posted things like this before, what a Han-Luke reunion might look like. So when he posted this, okay, and it was actually awesome. It was an awesome image. All hell broke loose. This is coming from Bleeding Full. You see, following the divisive, or should we say contentious, not toxic, response to the most recent series entry, Star Wars The Last Jedi, several toxic fans who have vehemently and zealously defended the new trilogy of films quickly began criticizing Hamill's retweet as fanning the flames. And they began shaming and cursing Mark Hamill for sharing the image. These are the toxic fans that regularly politicize Star Wars for their own personal agenda and attack anyone who dares to criticize J.J. Abrams or Rian Johnson. In fact, one of the most liked of these toxic responses accuses Mark Hamill of enabling the alt-right. In spite of his years of openly espousing progressive liberal politics, Mark Hamill spends a lot of time on Twitter dunking on Donald Trump. But it doesn't matter. If you're not 100% with these people, then you're against them. And only the Sith deal in absolutes. This is Zach. You know, this image comes from one of the alt-right portion of the fan base, right? Bad luck. Within less than an hour, things escalated over Mark's retweet, so much that even Star Wars novelist and foul-mouthed social justice warrior Chuck Wendig fired from Star Wars for shooting his mouth off on Twitter, shamelessly joined in the pig pile on Luke Skywalker, encouraging even more toxicity. I adore Hamill deeply, but I wish he understood the tides and tides of bullshit this kind of thing unleashes. Oh, he knows what he's doing, Chuck. He knows damn well what he's doing. He can't come right out and say, you know, screw you people and what you did to Star Wars, because he's Mark Hamill. And, you know, people do look up to him, respect him, and he'd like to be employed again sometime in Hollywood. But this is basically his way of giving Hollywood and the Disney sequel trilogy the finger. And he does it with subtlety. That's not something that Chuck Wendig understands. This is why Chuck Wendig is no longer working on Star Wars, as far as I know. Some folks seem to think I'm suggesting he's not allowed to share his opinion online. Come on, he's allowed. I welcome his wistfulness. But this image is one that's gone around the CG, GG, alt-righty crowd already. It stokes that audience and the creators pay for it. I'm not saying he's not allowed to have opinions, but he just doesn't have the right opinions. Unlike Chuck Wendig, who basically told all Republicans to go die in a fire publicly. One of these people is still associated with Star Wars. One of them isn't. I'm just saying. I love you, Mark. Don't do this. Don't wish that the cast got together for one scene. How dare you? All four of you. All four of you already have some of the most amazing moments in Star Wars, especially in the new films. Leave the new cast have their time. I respect Mark Hamill greatly, but to think this is the way to go seems short-sighted and borderline selfish. It's selfish to want the gang to get back together. You know, the original trilogy gang that everybody loves. That have you know, withstood the test of time. These are the same people that were like, you know, Lando is Pando Lando. You know, and Billy D. Williams is like, is that gay or something? What the hell are you talking about? And then that disappeared down the memory hole. Nobody cares. The current movies will stand on their own and age much better than some sort of greatest hits reunion tour. It's unfortunate he's stoking these flames. Nobody's going to give a shit about the sequel trilogy in about 5 years there, John. They're not. They're already moving on. And then we have the Mary Sue weighing in, of course. Rachel Leishman from the Mary Sue. Again, however, I will give them credit. They actually used the proper word. They said it was contentious, not toxic. But now, you know, she does start out with, there are few fandoms with as much capacity for toxicity as the Star Wars fandom. Yeah, I agree. They went after Mark Hamill. You know, I feel bad for Kelly Marie Tran. There it is, and Daisy Ridley. Yeah, you know, let's talk about that. Daisy Ridley was attacked by people for her privilege, for her white privilege. And Kelly Marie Tran, as I understand it, left Instagram before all the drama. And as I understand it, most of the criticism is of her character, not of Kelly Marie Tran herself. So again, we talk about what Mark Hamill said. He's right, it wasn't always this contentious. That's true, but that's just because social media didn't exist during the first two trilogies. But message boards did for the prequels, and I was there, and there were heated debates and arguments, but it never did blow up. I will agree, it never did blow up the way that it did. But then she talks about how she basically got made fun of by men for liking Star Wars. I don't know, I'm married to a woman who has loved Star Wars as long as I have, who used to be known as the Star Wars toy dealer around these parts, and who has an expanded universe character named after her. And you know what? she does get into it with guys sometimes who want to get into a pissing match, but it's not just men. There are assholes everywhere. Now, what's interesting is she does say we're all very protective of Star Wars, and maybe we need to take a step back and realize that yelling at other fans continually isn't the way to go. Are you serious? The Mary Sue has been cashing in on that clickbait for years. So, yeah, he understands full well what actual toxic fans are like. He was not throwing shade at fans who wanted better for Luke Skywalker. I believe Mark Hamill himself, no pun intended, wanted better for Luke Skywalker, and the media is doing what the media does best, lying for clicks. Lying for clicks to avoid getting laid off. And you know what? These websites, they're going to be shut down, most of them, I think, within the next year or two. And a lot of these journos are going to have to go get a real job. Scary thought, I know. Very scary thought. I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.